Hello everybody, my name is Troublmaker. It is Friday, that means I do Wargame European Escalation matches. I do the best for the week, but in this case I'll be doing a series on a challenge. drrtyd set out a challenge which became more popular than he could ever imagine. The challenge was simple. If you can beat him, he will give you a beta key. He has beta keys. So many people apply that he had to recruit General Banks, Anoka, and some other scrub. Actually, he's really good to help facilitate this challenge. And so the next few weeks I'll be doing this challenge. This will be the best and the brightest matches. It'll show you the current metagame. It'll show you how to play. It'll make you a better player. Each one of these is a person competing for a beta key for airland battle. And by getting a beta key, that means you'll get into every single beta weekend that will be coming up for the next 2 months or so. So, this match was selected not because it was a particularly good match, but because of the name of the NATO player. His name is The Floating Cheese. Now, to me, that is just brilliant. That just means that this is a guy who just only helicopter rushes. But, of course, we don't see any helicopters. And his opponent, of course, is drrtyd. drrtyd is leader of the WTF clan. He is a marshal. He was responsible for balancing this patch, so he has a lot of inside knowledge on how units work and what works. Ooh. So, I've had 2 other matches today. Definitely check them out. One features General Banks, and one is a tag team match featuring Anoka and drrtyd. Both 2200 rating. All of them actually are around 2200 rating. Right now, a lot of them got slowed down because of beta, but that's picking up. And so, the Floating Cheese has one commander, this crappy, terrible 1M151A1. It's a crappy vehicle because it doesn't have any armor on it, and it just dies very, very easily. It's actually a Jeep. Physically a Jeep. So imagine like a rocket launcher hitting a Jeep. That's what that vehicle is. But he's also going to employ a much heavier command armor compared to your command Jeep, your command vehicle. And this will allow him to facilitate a longer range. Now this map became a little more popular on the Wargame Cup because there's so many tactics people deployed for this map. The most popular, of course, was to grab this Bravo base and hit Alpha or grab Foxtrot. Almost always people were deploying infantry at this base and this base. As an alternative, people were also grabbing their Charlie and Alpha. People were also grabbing their main base and Delta. People were also grabbing Juliet, Golf, Delta. I believe Komarami did a crazy tactic where he took 3 bases. And Komarami the entire tournament was actually doing a lot of this multi-command armor stuff. And so these matches are kind of neat because it means people have been practicing a bit for these. You do get a beta key. All the while, these guys have not been practicing. Your opponents, drrtyd, General Banks, Anoka. You know, I for life, I can't remember the 4th person in this challenge. He's really good, though. He's actually a really good player. Very frightening player. And so it looks like we're going to see some tanks. Lots of tanks. A lot of tanks. Not a lot of AA. Not a ton. Not too much AA, which is good as well. And so it looks like we're going to see from drrtyd, he will be going down for Juliet. And nope, he's going for Delta and Charlie. I think. Yes, he's going for Delta Charlie. This is going to leave the Alpha base quite open. And this means that this reinforcement point will be very vulnerable. Now, keep in mind, the drrtyd does not have much for infantry, and so he will not be placing infantry. But of course, wisely, drrtyd quickly placing infantry in this base to secure this long path. Now, all the while, we see a little bit of aggression here from drrtyd. He's going to want to drop some infantry and golf. He has the Shallow is basically here as a security guard for getting these infantry in. If there's too much, drrtyd can just pull back. But once he gets the infantry in here, he will have this attack path secured as well. But this looks like it's going to be a crazy push. Got some BMP 685s in here. Ooh, anti-tank gun, Milan F2 in position. Here comes the big fire. And actually gets 1 shallow with that, so not too bad. He's got more shots coming. The shell is already stunned. This is already bad territory for drrtyd. A lot of pressure on this guy, of course, to win these games. Because, I mean, realistically, the more he loses, the more keys he has to, try and steal from Eugen Systems. So that's something. And it looks like these shallows will be all gone, and floating cheese will already come off to a fairly high start. The Milan's still alive, just repositioning, pretending to be dead, if you will. And yeah, the floating cheese already getting a pretty massive lead on drrtyd. We see little funny things like recon helicopter here at Juliet. And whoa, this is very, very sneaky. He's got double Puma. I'm not really all that sure what's gonna be dropped here. I know it's not gonna be Delta Force. It could be, I don't know what it could be, but he's not dropping it, so it's just kind of sitting here, floating. The floating cheese is just barely floating on the ground. And I'd like to see what's coming out from here. I imagine it's not going to be as good as I think it might be. Best case scenario is that it's an anti-infantry recon. But there's already a VPZU here, and actually drrtyd totally sees this. This doesn't give much room for floating cheese to actually drop off these units before he loses them. So here's where attention pays off. Can drrtyd slowly walk this VPZU before they land? Looks like they're doing landing procedures right now. Nope, they were just hovering a little differently for a second. I honestly got a little bit too excited about that. And are they flying away? Nope, they're just repositioning themselves again. And here we go. It is going to be Chasseurs Famas. That is a very odd choice to drop. But unfortunately it took so long that the shallows are already out. So he's not going to be able to take this woods location here. The only thing he'll be able to do is potentially wipe out these VPZs. But with the support of the shallows, that is just very unlikely. In fact, it will not happen. So small misstep by the floating cheese. drrtyd going to get back those points from this little bit of mistake. And the Pumas will escape. And of course, Pumas do not have any function beyond this. They are now useless and will die in corner of the screen hell, where all unarmed, ungunned transports go. It looks like we see drrtyd in a moment of madness is pulling out another commander. We're going to try and grab this alpha base and complete this nice little connection. It's already defended, so why not? And also drrtyd has a very good position up front here. So you can see drrtyd has created a very, very large arc of units. Now, of course, this does present a little bit of a problem because it also means that he has so many weak points. And this is something, as a challenger, you can expose, specifically with these M60A1 Raspatons. These are your main battle tank types. They can crush through. And if he was just to rush through this area, drop some infantries, he can take at that base, crush through this area, then this area. He could ruin drrtyd's day. The only advantage for drrtyd is that he could deploy a counteroffensive. But by then the damage is done. But of course we're going to see from the flying cheese playing very passively, very defensively. Beta key on the line, doesn't want to risk too much. And here comes some self-propelled artillery. Of course, it's always wise to put your artillery away from your FOBs, your double FOBs. Usually when someone gets a double FOB, that means they generally wanted to have artillery in the first place. Artillery positioning. Where should you put your artillery? Right here. This is the best spot. No, not really. Woods locations are going to be pretty bad, though, because those are very common locations to get shelled out. So that means your artillery is going to get fired on quite a bit. They should be relatively in the open to be bait, but they should also be not too far away from your army. Having bait is always a good thing. It looks like you see a really good snag here by the floating cheese. Gets that vehicle. The VPZUs will be deployed in the woods. Not too shabby. And it looks like we're going to see a very close range supply truck run on these vehicles. And lots of infantry, actually. Double Smirch. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Double Smirch. I think this is like the 5th game I watched drrtyd where he's done like a double Smirch. Double Smirch is one of these vehicles that has like the high potential of wiping out a command jeep. And Scrubs, because Scrubs don't get no love from me, Scrubs will often use the command jeep and will get it killed to artillery fire. And whoa! Did you just see that? The double Smirch fire killed everything. That entire location wiped out. drrtyd is smiling inside because he just realized he got 200 points, which means that location is completely comboed. Once again, odd choice. Chaucer's, Famas, and Pumas. I'll never understand that. Doesn't seem worthwhile to me. Or the, I guess he stopped firing his artillery. Artillery like this, you kind of have to have non-stop flying, like non-stop shooting. They're basically, you have to think about units, artillery units in terms of points per second. So if they're constantly firing, they'll probably get you about 1 or 2 points per second. You get an extra one, you're probably getting about 3 or 4 points per second, assuming they're always hitting location. And so over a match, like an artillery unit might be worth 400 points, which still makes it more worthwhile in itself. But that's only assuming that it's always firing. And of course, you're burning through the FOBs, which makes it slightly less valuable. And specifically with the amount of infantry coming up from drrtyd, he's playing very, very defensively. He's getting a lot of bases. Having a lot of artillery fire will be very good. And especially after this huge loss, that is a huge loss. He just lost a lot of tanks. So basically, this is going to be a little bit of stalemate, I guess. This is generally not how this map plays out, by the way. This map is generally pretty aggressive. I'm kind of surprised. Looks like drrtyd going for his 4th base, because why not? Why not? When your opponent is behind by 200 points, you can afford a 200-point command. That is the rules of the game. If he is losing 200 points, you have a 200-unit advantage on him that he will have to fill with units. Or he can also go for one of these cheap command jeeps and expand himself. One or the other. But neither really matters, because he expands and you expands, that's equal. Absolutely equal. And oh no. Could the Cobras go down? Or should I say Cobra? Actually, no, he's firing on the Patton, not even going for the Cobra. That's interesting. Patton getting pushed out, though. Of course, the Pattons are very, very expensive tanks. These are not cheap tanks. These are not ones you can risk. They didn't take any damage there because they're so heavily armored and awesome. But that doesn't mean anything. They can still die to these M124As with their rocket composition. So an AMX roll on 2. Just going to roll up here for the floating cheese. What do you need is get some recon here. Just some recon. Pick up some of these Mott Schützens. And because I personally, on a very personal level, found that infantry are not so good anymore because you can just do recon and tanks. But here comes a massive ball of singly rallied out T-62s, BMP 685, Tunguska, and more Tunguska. And he's just going to roll on through. He's like, sup, AMX roll on 2? I heard you're having a bad day. He yells at the top of his lungs in the most obnoxious manner possible. And the T-62s are getting strafed. Ooh, the UAZ, 469, of course, not wanting to be in the lead. And looks like he's just going to keep rushing through, which he can afford to do because he's such a massive lead. And he's going straight for this hotel base, which is the main reinforcement point for his opponent. There is 2 Paladin artilleries here, which are not going to be very useful in this upcoming battle. The Abrams are in a little bit of trouble as well. And this command jeep, of course, is just going to insta-die. It's going to run away, actually. Come back, little jeep. Come back. You must die. And yeah, 700-point lead here for drrtyd, who's just absolutely smoking his opponent. 1,500 points. In an official rule set, I think that's the end of the game, but maybe this is a destruction mode. And this is going to keep drrtyd pushing. Keep in mind, a lot of these things are running out of fuel. He does have the FOB, so he can just stop and restock, but I mean, time is money, and drrtyd has lots of money from his testing dollars. Of course, drrtyd doesn't get paid, so that's a joke. He doesn't make any monies. He does it all for free. And he's just going to continue rushing forward to India, and basically we can wipe out these 2 reinforcement points. It's actually over. Is this a good way of playing? Absolutely not. If he was playing against a good player, he would get completely stomped. But I mean, this is he's trying to out tactics that will work on people who I don't want to say not very good because that sounds kind of mean and condescending, but people who are not top 10 in the game. Now, looks like he's not going to... He's going to... What? He's going for the other commander, and he gets it, actually. That's kind of weird. That was let to happen. And Chaucer's Moss might get some damage in here. Let's see how close these T-62s get. This is playing with fire, people. You don't play with fire. Because when you play with fire, you get burned. No, but seriously, are these things... Oh my god, they got one. They got one. And now it's just this final base here, which can be killed by a single MI-24A with relative ease because there's nothing here. So yeah, very good match for Dirty D. His rush was very successful. Artillery fire will end the game. I guess the floating cheese left, realizing he's in trouble. And Dirty D, the Dun G, wins again. Still undefeated in the Dirty D challenge, the beta access challenge. This is my third match of the day. 2 other great matches, check them out. One's a tag team match with Dirty D and Anoka. The other one features General Banks. If you enjoyed this video and you're not subscribed to my channel, make sure to subscribe. Subscription numbers equal the size of my penis after all. As well, make sure to subscribe to the playlist, Wargame Matches. And then you'll get only the Wargame matches that you want to see. Thank you guys for joining me this week. It's been a pleasure. My name is Troublmaker. Like the video, all that good stuff. Watch my beta video. It has information on how you too can get a beta key. Thank you guys for watching.